Welcome to my YouTube channel, my friend. My name is David, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the importance of self-awareness, and I'm also going to be giving you actionable steps that you can take and implement in your life to improve upon your self-awareness and help you move your life in the direction that you would like it to. If you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications and help me reach my first 100 subscribers. I would greatly appreciate it. That is, of course, if you're into personal and spiritual development videos. So I've been on this personal development journey for the last 3 or so years, and the further I go on this journey, the more it becomes evident that self-awareness really is just so important in so many different ways. Now, if you picture yourself driving down a highway in a vehicle, if you're someone that drives, or even if you're someone who doesn't, but you know a little bit about driving, for some strange reason, you will know that when you look in the rear vision mirror, to the left and the right of the mirror are blind spots. And that's exactly what we have as humans. We all have blind spots. And the more aware we become, the smaller and smaller those blind spots become. Which is why it's really important that we get coaches or mentors and have them in our lives, because they can identify when we're in a blind spot. They can also identify obstacles that are going to pop up because of those blind spots before we can even see them. Now, I personally believe that self-awareness is of utmost importance, because without it, we're not going to really know who we are. We're not going to know what our beliefs are, and there'll be more on that later on. But when it comes to picking a career, of all things, which is something that we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives perhaps, or at least for a good portion of our lives, it's really important to realize what we're passionate about, where our strengths and weaknesses are, so we can then pick a career that is suited to those attributes. And that's just one aspect. The more self-aware we become, the more we become aware of our beliefs, our thoughts, our passions and values, our personality traits and our behaviors, and our strengths and our weaknesses. Now, if we were armed with this information, don't you think that's going to aid us when it comes to picking a career, when it comes to getting into a relationship, when it comes to our health? Of course it is. We're also going to be aware of our habits, which are of utmost importance, because our habits really run our life and rule our life. So I'm going to give you a number of things that really helped me along my journey, starting with body language. The first thing I did to become more self-aware was to really take note of the way I was moving my body. And it might sound funny, but body language and the majority of our life really is unconscious until we make it conscious. So I would notice when I'm sitting down, like, what are my legs doing? What are my arms doing? And over time, I became so much more aware of my body. It's like when we're not aware of our body, all we're aware of is our head, really. And then when we become aware of our body, we really are aware of the entire thing. I know it might sound strange, but that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was to become and really to observe my thoughts. And when a thought pops into my head, like, that's coming from a paradigm more often than not. Sometimes it may be a function of a thought that someone else is thinking, and then the energy collides and that thought pops into our head or into our toroidal field. But more often than not, it comes from a paradigm, and a paradigm is made up of a set of habits and beliefs that are programmed into us from a young age. So when we become aware of our thoughts, and let's just say you have a big goal that you want to achieve, and you tell someone and they say that's never going to work, that's coming from their programming, which is usually the way most people would respond. If you want to achieve a goal and you say the same thing, and you find that that thought is in your head, that's a belief, then that can be changed. But you know, if you're self-aware, you know that that is not true. You know that that's just programming from society, and it's not really the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and those thoughts that have popped into your head are the result of societal programming. Another thing I did was personality tests. I've taken a few over the years, and most recently I've done 2 separate ones, a GEM personality test and a DISC personality test, both of which are similar but different. And they really tell you a lot about your personality, obviously, but also different behavioral traits that you have. And things like personality tests are great for picking a career. I have a personality, quite oddly enough, which says that I would be really well suited to being an accountant, and that's what I was for about 9 or 10 years. But I really didn't like that job. But it does suit my personality type. On the flip side of that, I have a friend who is pretty much the opposite personality type to me, also an accountant, but wasn't a very good one because it didn't really suit his personality type. And it makes sense because he would be more suited to a job in sales, perhaps, dealing with people, more extroverted. If you're liking this video so far, give me a thumbs up and comment below. Self-awareness is key. Becoming aware of my strengths and weaknesses is also another thing that I did. And really taking time to hone your strengths and not really worry about your weaknesses, because at the end of your life, if you concentrate on all your weaknesses, at the end of your life you have a set of very strong weaknesses. Whereas if you had concentrated on your strengths and honed them, who knows what you could achieve. More recently, I did a values exercise, and this was really powerful and beneficial for me because I had uncovered values that I didn't even know existed. I did a values exercise a few years ago, and it wasn't a very good one. I ended up just getting a list of values, and then I took different values that stood out to me, and that was not really the way to go. I had a friend tell me that we did a muscle test, and she said, "You're not very clear on your values." My ego was like, "No, of course I am. I know what my values are. I know what I value." But that was the ego speaking, and my self-awareness was not as great then as it is now. Why values are important is because if I'm going to go into a career, let's pretend I'm out of school and I know what my values are. If that career is not going to serve my top 5 values or even my top 3 values, then it would be wise for me not to pursue it. I would say my first value, my number 1 value is self-expression. And for so many years, I was unaware of this, and I was in a career that didn't satisfy that value. So I couldn't live true to it because I didn't even know it existed. That's the importance of self-awareness. Another important thing is figuring out what you're passionate about. Now, this can be a lengthy process sometimes, and I got quite lucky because I figured out that I was passionate about music a long time ago. I just didn't pursue it for a very long time, which was my own fault. But a lot of people don't even know what they're passionate about, which is really quite concerning for them because they don't have that dopamine. They can't get that dopamine fix from creating something, whether that be art or music or writing, or it doesn't have to be any of those things. It could be any other thing, something that's creative, where we get a dopamine fix from, is a passion, or can be a passion of ours. We can get dopamine fixes from other things where we don't create, such as watching movies or playing video games, but that's not really what I'm getting at. The way to figure out what you're passionate about is to really just try a lot of things. Sometimes you have to try a bunch of stuff in order to figure it out. You might get lucky on the first try. You might figure out that you really love drawing, and it's the first thing you try, but sometimes it may take longer. The important thing is that you keep trying things until you find something that you like or that you love. Now, once you have figured out different areas of improvement and your awareness is growing, it's important to not ask yourself the why question, like, why is this person acting in this way? Or why am I not succeeding in this area at work? Rather than ask yourself why, ask yourself what. Ask yourself, what can I do to improve this area of my life? What can I do to improve? What can I do to make sure that I hit the gym 3 or 4 times in a week rather than just going the one time? Rather than saying, why am I only going that one time? Because why questions won't really get us anywhere. What questions are what will get us the steps that we need to take in order to achieve what we want to in life. So I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section below, what's one way that you've improved your self-awareness? I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, follow me on Instagram at David Cowan Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.